kind of like stopped my treadmill machine. I looked over at him like, "Are you Nate?" And he was like, he's like mid sweat, mid treadmill session. He's like, "Yeah, I'm Nate." And I'm like, "Well, man, like I think I've built a really cool CRM for our business. I'd love to build it for your business for free." Turner's doing a private event at his house in Maui, about 20 high-level investors. I went, and in that room was, before they had social media presences, was James Dainard, was AJ Osborne, was Brittany Arneson, was Ryan Pineda, and a lot of the people that have become kind of household names in our space were sitting in that conference room. And all I knew was I wanted to make money and I wanted to do it myself. And so I got licensed, started sitting open houses.
If you can turn the dial a little bit to like the freedom of time, to me, does that play a little bit into your story in terms of like what your goal really was?
And then if you're very experienced or you're newer and just want everything, you want us to help you and take care of your software, your lead generation, your staffing.
And it takes a lot of hard work, reading the books, synthesizing the information, putting it into a system and building it out. And there's something beautiful about that, man.
I hung my license at a brokerage called Caliber, which still exists in Washington. And they were doing a lot of auction stuff. So they bring all their investor clientele into the office.
Cole, officially welcome to the Wealth Juice podcast. Corey and I are stoked to have you on the show, man. We are running in similar circles. We were talking about this pre-recording, and it's funny that we haven't had you on the show yet. We've been following you for so long, and so we're just thrilled to share your story today, get to know you a bit, man, and appreciate you joining us.
Man, I'm happy to be here, man. I was happy to see the DM. My strategy has always been like I never reached out to people and I'm like, man, let me come on the show, but definitely excited, happy about this one. And if you guys, I don't know if you guys do a video version of this, but if you do, Ryan and I have matching hats today. So I think that definitely drives the point home about running in similar circles.
100%. We're cut from the same cloth, dude. Actually, kind of look like brothers a little bit if you are watching. So
yeah, I do. When my beard grows out, it does come in a little red too. So I'm not even kidding. So.
Hey, I love it, dude.
I can lead if you guys just want to rock out. I can, you guys, I don't want to ruin the vibe is what I'm saying, but
we'll let you stay, dude. We were thinking about voting you off the island, but we'll keep you.
All right, cool.
But Cole, dude, stoked to have you here, bro. What I love about your story, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but you started very young, and I think that's very cool for people. A lot of our following is young cats that are aspiring investors. You know, a lot of people have their own units, but there's also this group that's like, how do I get started? How do I get to this level of success? And I just really want today for you to walk us through the story on the steps that you took to get where you are today. And you have, you're 27, started at 19, you've been in the game for a little bit. I see you surrounded by so many of the higher level guys in the industry. So take us back to maybe 19-year-old Cole or early Cole. And when did the light bulb go off for you that real estate was going to be your thing?
It's a good question, man. And I like to take it back pretty early. I mean, I have a saying that I say, which is strong opinions held loosely. And one of my current strong opinions, and what I mean by that is like, I have conviction around my opinions and beliefs, but I'm open to a conversation and changing those. But as of today, I have a pretty strong conviction and belief that entrepreneurs are, at least for the most part, born. I think there's some things you can do to craft that in you. I'm not saying it's impossible, but that's my general belief. And I remember sitting in high school, and I did a program called Running Start. So in Washington, where I'm from, I live in San Diego now. In Washington, once you go to your junior year of high school, you can take all of your classes out of junior college, and you still go to the high school for sports and dances and all that kind of stuff. And so I did that. And I remember sitting there one day, and the purpose of it is to get you 2 years ahead in college. And I remember sitting there one day, and I'm like, man, like, all this stuff they're talking about of who you're going to work for, what you're going to do. I just had a sick feeling in my stomach, not because I didn't want to work, but because this idea of like someone mandating me show up where they want on the time that they want and do what they tell me to do just made me feel weird from early on. And so when I started needing to make money, my mom was a real estate broker. So I would do her staging for her houses, and I would go to her and watch the open houses and sit the open houses. And I was involved in just the overall feel of what real estate was, and that she was self-employed. No one told her where to go. She had a nice car. We had a nice house. I was like, that kind of seems like a life that I would be okay living. I went to a school in a little outside of Los Angeles called the Azusa Pacific to play basketball. I was a big basketball guy. I had a chance to, as a preferred walk-on, join the team with my buddy who was transferring in there. And I went down there for one semester, and I came back for a second semester, and 2 weeks in, I packed up and left. And I remember sitting in an accounting class, like, this is the last class I ever want to take. And so I was 18 and a half, going on 19, got home. Drove all the way from LA to Seattle back in one day. And I remember sitting there going, okay, now what? And all I knew was I wanted to make money and I wanted to do it myself. And so I got licensed, started sitting open houses, started driving, calling expired listings, all the stuff you're taught as an agent. But I was probably the worst real estate agent of all time. I never did a residential deal. I went to all the sales meetings. I moved brokerages about 4 times and just did not crack it. And I had a lot of sleepless nights wondering if I should go back to school, but I had given myself 2 years. And the reason is because when you do running start, you get all your prereqs done in high school. So I could take 2 years off and still go back to college as a junior. And so that was my timeline for myself. I'm like, I'm going to give myself 2 years. If I don't figure anything out, I'll go back and still graduate with my friends and classmates. And when you're 19, all you care about is what your friends from high school think of you. So that's all I really cared about. And then I finally, by luck, I call it luck, but I think it's by just showing up. I hung my license at a brokerage called Caliber, which is still exists in Washington. And they were doing a lot of auction stuff. So they'd bring all their investor clientele into the office, pitch them on the deals that were going to the auction steps the next day, and collect assignment fees. And it blew my mind because I'm like, man, I don't have to show open houses. I can kind of sit behind a computer, find a way to get leads, and I can make this thing happen. That led to a 6-month period of me trying this thing called wholesaling, getting my first wholesale check, which ended up being $105,000 at 19. And that was the kickstart to doing more deals and continuing to grow in my career. But yeah, early on, it was not that intentional. I wanted to make money by myself. I knew a lot of people who were doing that in real estate, and I just put one foot in front of the other. And I think for a lot of people listening, that's most people's origin story. Is you don't really have a plan. You just kind of put one foot in front of the other and you do the next deal. And then eventually it leads you somewhere that you enjoy.
Cole, I want to talk about something that you just mentioned that I think gets glossed over. And I was having this conversation with my girlfriend last night. You mentioned about your mom, how kind of no one was telling her where to be. You had a nice house, you had a nice car, and this freedom of time a little bit, right? You still have to work for the money that you bring in, but you have this freedom of time. I think a lot more people listening should make that their North Star. You can build upon another North Star after that, but if you can make that your North Star, and the reason why I said I brought up talking with my girlfriend, because last night I said, like, Ryan and I built this business. It's small, it's growing, but like I have autonomy of time. I have passive income coming in. We're building our coaching program. Like, and no one's telling me where to be at what time. And I'm like, okay, like at some level, at whatever level you want to talk about, there's many more levels ahead of me, but like we've made it a little bit, you know? And I'm just like, I want people to listen and be like, okay, let's forget about the 8,000 square foot house and the Maserati for a second. If those are things you want, amazing. Go get them. But if you can turn the dial a little bit to like the freedom of time, to me, does that play a little bit into your story in terms of like what your goal really was? Because I think that allows you a little bit more freedom of decision to know that it doesn't take $100,000 a month to make you be able to have that. And then you can go get the next goal from there. Just talk to me a little bit about that. And then we'll talk about the first deal you did.
It's a great point. Well, I watched a podcast yesterday with this guy that does a lot of studies on small business owners. And he found that the happiest small business owners are, generally speaking, between 1 million and 4 million in revenue and 4 to 12 people. And we fall in love with this idea of a big team. And I think for entrepreneurs, especially in the real estate space, a big team, a big office space, a bunch of revenue is kind of the entrepreneurship version of virtue signaling, of success, right? Mm-hmm. And to me, it was a good encapsulation of how I felt about business for a long time. But I think for most people out there, like life in terms of quality of life and the dramatic change in how you feel, I felt the wealthiest the first time that I could pay myself 20 grand a month for my business years and years ago. And no one could tell me where to be at what time. Like I've never felt again, no matter how much money I've made personally or business wise, I've never felt again that level of like, oh shit, like I think I figured it out. And 40, 60, there's no number beyond that to me. Like if you can make 20, 30 grand a month on your own and no one can tell you where to go, to me, that is the wealthiest you will ever feel. Every number beyond that, it's like, yeah, you get a bigger house, you get a nicer car, but at that number, you can eat where you want. You can upgrade your seat last minute to premium or first class. Like there's not a lot of things you can't do unless you want, a private jet yacht. And I'm not saying don't strive for things beyond that, but to your point, absolutely. Like for me, when I look back at my journey, that was the point where kind of looked in the mirror and went like, okay, like I'm good here. Like if this is all this ever becomes, this was kind of the life I wanted to live, at least to a certain extent. And then you fall in love with business and you just do it because you like the game at some point. But yeah, I do definitely resonate with your thought there.
I would say, dude, we've done maybe 300 episodes here. We're close to that. And that was the most articulate and boxed together with a bow on it style or way to say that. And I say that to say so many people have this number that they're chasing, right? Or this thing that they want. And then they get there and they're like, well, I have it now. So what's next? And so I always wondered for people what the number was. Hey, what's the enough number, right? And I think we've heard from a few other people that right around that 20 grand, 20 to 30 clip is where you're like, whoa, dude. But are you going to work for the man to get that 20 to 30K? When it's your time, energy, and effort for your baby that you're growing in your business, I think it's a completely different thing because then you have control of your time. And I just really like the thought of speaking about other businesses because for us, you know, you kind of just hit it perfectly for me. I don't want, like, I'm cool with the 1 to 4 range, right? I don't need a bunch of employees. I actually don't like managing people. That's just not my thing. I've always been kind of the lone wolf, worked in sales and like, you know, lone wolf, I say small circle, if you will, right? And just when other people, there's too many cooks in the kitchen, I feel like a lot. Now, I understand that you have to run a business and you need people, you need to offload and delegate tasks, which completely understandable, put systems in place. But I think it can get crowded. And then you're paying everybody all this money and then it sucks it more out of your pocket, right? So if you can get lean and mean, I think that's where you really find your sweet spot. And, you know, you just touched on it kind of to the point where like that perfect happy medium for you was that 20, 30 grand a month. Am I right?
I have 2 business partners. They're both in their 40s. They're both incredibly independently wealthy. One of them, and they're kind of a good synopsis of this. One of them is in Seattle. He's a TV host, Bigger Pockets host. His name's James Dainard.
We know James. We interviewed him on the show.
Yeah.
Great guy.
So good buddy of mine. Spent a lot of time at his home. He's been a good friend for a long time, and business partner and mentor. And one of the things that you know, you realize they do upwards of $50 million a year across their lending, residential, flipping, wholesaling, development, massive office, big team, chaos. And he'll tell you that it's chaos. And they make a lot of money. They own hundreds of units. And then my other business partner, Tucker Merrihew, who's kind of another kind of OG in the space. He has a small office in Naples, Florida, has a team of about 3 people, and they make about $1 million per house they build, and they build 6 or 7 of them a year. Very lean, 2 or 3 employees. He wears flip-flops. He can come and go as he pleases. Like very different, 2 different ways to get to this very similar number at the end of the day. Right. So to me, I started as I want as big as office as I can get. And I built it but I remember if you guys listen to this, like I built a business when I was turning 22 that we did $3.5 million of revenue, just purely wholesaling and partnering on some deals of other kinds. And I made $7,000 a month that year. And I took a step back income wise, because at $1 million I was making 300, 400, 500 grand. And I think the revelation everyone comes to eventually, and I still kind of do fall in the bigger business camp. Like I enjoy it, but for most people, the dream business that you're chasing happens around $1.5 million a year in revenue. If you keep your profit margins healthy. And the only reason that a lot of people go beyond that is because of ego. They want to tell their friends and family that there is some big hot shot. And the reality is like, no one gives a shit. And I put that on my story today. Like you're not cool because you run a business. You think you are, but no one's thinking about you. If not, people think you're weird. People think I'm weird. When I walk into a room and start talking to them, I don't want to talk about like normal stuff. Like I like talking about business and numbers, and 99% of the people on earth, like that's weird to them. So that's always a funny thing to me of the guys that walk into an event with chains on and like, fuck, like I'm the coolest thing ever. And you're like, no one cares.
I think that's why it's really important, Cole, to find your tribe of people that
100%.
do care, that are like you, that think the way that you think. But dude, Rye said it already. You encapsulated it perfectly for me, because we have this goal, 100K a month. I think we're going to probably be able to do it within the next year. I know we're going to be able to do it within the next year, but I'm thinking like that's kind of outside of the passive income that we have coming in. But I was thinking about goals beyond that, and to grow just for the sake of growing is stupid. I've thought about it over and over again. How much money do I need to live a great life? I'm taking the money that I'm bringing in, I'm investing it in other assets. That money's growing. Like I was thinking about it literally the other day. Like if I had, when I'm 65 years old, if I have 10 to $20 million, and I know it sounds like a lot, and that is a lot of money, even $5 to $15 million, like working for me or in cash and assets, like, do you really need to be any wealthier than that? Like truly, like, do you? And if you're on the other side of this, you might say, yeah, I really do. But I just find it hard to believe that you can't do anything that you want with a base like that, and also like keep your circle small, take care of the people around you, like do all those things. Again, it's funny where we're going with this, but like, I'll get to your deal in a sec, but I'm very curious because the conversation went here. Do you feel similar about that?
Yeah. I do resonate with the idea that, well, I think at the end of the day, like for me, I've never had a net worth goal number. Like I'll start there. Like I've never sat there and put pen to paper going, oh, I want to be worth this much money, because I just don't care. Like I'm not a consumer. I don't buy the clothes that I have. My wife buys for me. I don't buy cars. I don't buy watches. The watch I'm wearing, I bought when I was 19, 20, and I just keep, because really the conversation I have with my wife is like, I'm going to sell it. I don't need it. And she goes, you're not going to buy another one. And I'm like, that's a fair point. Like I will never go purchase another watch because I just don't care. And so for me, like not being a consumer, I really just care about, like, we travel a lot. We have nice dinners. We have a home that we like. That's part of what we want to do, is a home that we love. But besides that, like whether that takes 10, 20, 30 minutes, I don't care. I just play the game to play it. Like I have aspirations business wise, but I really just like having a team, helping them grow. Building a company is fun to me. It's just like basketball was. So to be honest, to answer your question, like I don't know. And I don't really I don't think about it, to be honest with you. And I think the ultimate thing that we all build through doing this isn't a number in our bank account, because that can disappear, and that can disappear quickly. It's really the identity that you build of, I can solve problems, I can handle stress, and you can do that again. So that's how I think about it.
I love it. In my group chat today, I have some friends that are talking about these new cars they're buying. Some of my friends are buying Porsches and Mercedes, and no disrespect. They can do whatever they want, live your life, do your thing. But I was thinking about, like, I do want a nice car eventually. I'm not a watch guy either. Like, I don't really care. I like buying the things that I like, the nice things, and then letting the rest fall into place. And I really do love what I do. And that, I think, is ultimately where you start winning. But let's talk about, Rod, I know you want to jump in before we, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a couple thoughts here before we get into the deal, because Cole, it's funny. I keep mentioning like the episodes that we've done, the interviews, but I haven't found someone that I resonate quite as much as I resonate with you. Not just because we look alike. I think just the way you described your lifestyle, right? That's very similar to both Corey and I, right? Like we don't get me wrong, there's a couple material things that we want, but if I have a really nice house, control over my time, have the ability to watch my daughter grow up and build a business. I love being creative, dude. Like the marketing arm of this, learning new things and how to weave this in, and basically building something from zero and have it being a revenue generating machine. That's something to be proud of. And it takes a lot of hard work, reading the books, synthesizing the information, putting it into a system and building it out. And there's something beautiful about that, man. And I think that's why we all get along in this room, because we've all done that respectively in our own ways. But most people, like Corey mentioned, these gentlemen that are looking to buy the cars, I'm not sure exactly who they are in the friend group, but I know a lot of them are working 9-to-5 jobs. And I know that the payments on these cars are probably close to $1,000 a month or more. And then they are a slave to that dollar and have to go work every day or find a new job if they lose one to go afford that car just to drive down the highway in bumper to bumper traffic to get to work. And I hate that.
Right. And I think, sorry to cut you off, but I think there's a valuable point there. Like, no matter what you buy, a car, a watch, and I've bought all the stuff. Like I've done them. And by day 9, 10, it's not even cool anymore. Like it's just another thing that you have to take care of, that you get in and drive. And I think it's a lot of, when you're working a 9-to-5, that kind of keeps you alive. That keeps your soul going for a little bit, right? That next vacation, that next watch, that next whatever. It's like, oh yeah, this is why I'm doing it. So yeah, no, it's definitely true. Definitely true.
100%. There's one last thing I want to touch on, because I've teetered with this. It's like a battle. I go back and forth all the time. I was like, I want the Lamborghini, because to me, that it was, as a kid, the pinnacle of success, right? First was $1 million. Great. Check that off the box. Didn't feel any different. Now, granted, a lot of it's in the ground, but another part is like, okay, now I want the Batmobile in the driveway with a nice house. And for me, I hear you, right? Like I know you've bought nice cars. I've talked to a bunch of gentlemen that have, and they're like, dude, by day 10, it doesn't matter. And for me, I'm trying to frame that. It's like, okay, well, validating it to myself in my head is like, well, I could use this as a marketing piece. I'm probably going to come off to a lot as a douchebag. But for me, this was a goal since I was a kid. And the proof to myself that I did it, it's validation. Even if I can buy it and I don't, that, will I be happy with that?
It could matter to you, right? Like I'm not a car guy, but some people love car. I love golf. So
Me
like I
too.
spend an absurd amount of money on golf clubs, and like I look at those every day and I get happy. And so I think it might matter. Like to me, like I think no one celebrates entrepreneurs. You have to celebrate yourself, and you have to take yourself to a nice dinner. And dude, I think like if someone's a car person and they want to buy a Lamborghini and they love it, I love it. The question I always ask myself is, if I can never tell anyone or show anyone I own this, would I still buy it? And that really helps me reframe, like, am I buying this for any kind of leftover ego piece from when I was 19, wanted to show the world I was successful? Or am I buying this because like I want to enjoy it? And a lot of times it's that question. If I'm honest with myself, I'm like, yeah, that's, if I never could tell anyone I own this, I probably wouldn't buy it. To me, it's a good North Star for myself of the intention behind it for myself.
So you nailed it for me. I'll wrap. I know Corey's got some more, and I'm probably talking some golf because he loves golf. But the answer is yes. I would buy it no matter what anybody said, because for me, it's proof that I did what I said I was going to do. And I remember being the kid that saw one driving up and down the road and being like, I would love to sit in that one day and have that feeling. And I want to pull up to places with I say little kids, but like, maybe teenagers or something like that are like, dude, that's what I want. And maybe you find the young budding entrepreneur that just had the dream. He just needed to sit in it. And then his North Stars paved the rest of the way. And I see a lot of videos go out about this. And my favorite superhero is Batman. And I was like, dude, I got to be Bruce Wayne, man. Like I can do this shit. And for me, I'm building the empire, right? Like now, but then I need my whip. So it's just really funny that we go through this. We're all kids, dude. We could grow up, turn 30, 40, 50. We're all still going to be the soul is the same. We're still kids, right? So for me, I think you validated it a little bit more. And for me, I just have to have it. I keep talking. Now I'm saying it publicly. So I'm just like, one day everybody's going to check me and be like, dude, you just got the car.
Excited for you. Excited to see it.
You've already said it publicly too. So this is just the check-in number 3. But I think you should do it because it's something that you want to do, right? But we can move on. The one last thing I'll say is now, Cole, I've actually taken some pride in having a paid off car and being able to play golf Tuesday afternoon if I want to, so like I've thought about that, and not in comparison to anybody, like not talking to my friends or anything like that, but I've taken pride in being like, people don't really have to know what I got going on. They don't have to know. I love the podcast. And if they want to know, they can come to our social and they can get in our ecosphere and they can get in and they can learn, but they don't have to know. These people that I don't interact with, I walk into a grocery store, I'm wearing a hat and a t-shirt. And like, I'm not suggesting that I'm worth a ton of money, but I'm just saying I do have freedom of time. And it makes me feel comfortable that like, yeah, I'm walking into my 2012 Lexus. It doesn't matter. It truly doesn't matter. So we will get to a point where I feel like we upgrade our life at the time that it feels comfortable for us. And I'm good with that. I also take pride in the fact that I bought a property years ago that my mortgage is super low. And I'm just like, my expenses are low and I can handle any storms or something negative that comes my way. But let's talk about this 100K deal, because I think it puts people in this whole thing in perspective. Like, wow, somebody that is 20 can do this. Like you can make 100K on you can escape that. That would escape the 9-to-5 for a lot of people, $100,000. So just talk to us about that deal and how that came to be, and like how that started to change your mindset to be able to do bigger and better and things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when I was getting started, I never envisioned in my mind doing like a $10,000 deal. I knew those were happening, but I saw some guy that I'd known that posted a $40,000 check on his Instagram and was like, I want a big deal. Like, I don't want a $7,000 deal. I want a big deal. And that's all I thought about day in and day out. And I've never done another deal like that deal. It came to us from an agent. We convinced some developer that he could build a third story on the house and he could connect it via Skybridge to the ADU. And he loved the idea for whatever reason. And we got it for like $830, sold it for like $940. It was in a pretty expensive area in Seattle. And that deal for me, funny enough, I went to the title company, picked up the check. I paid the agent. I had a business partner, so we split the proceeds. And I remember sitting in I had bought in before this, I had bought in front like a little like BMW 3 Series. And I went and whatever they call it, like powder coated the rims black and like had my little bootleg Batmobile. Right. And I remember sitting in that car with my portion of that check, 40, 45, 50 grand, whatever it may be, and thinking like, this is really cool, but if I can't do this again, it doesn't matter. And that's the moment it went from like, I want to make some money to I want to build a repetitive process in a business. And so we did one more deal after that. And then 2 or 3 deals in, I went and signed a personally guaranteed office space in Renton, Washington. It had like bullet holes in the window. It was just it was not a good place, a good part of town to be in. And we just filled it with frat guys that we knew that were on home for winter break or that dropped out of school. And we started doing deals. And just by sheer volume of cold calling and leads and marketing, that's how my cold call journey began, which is a lot of what we do for people now, but that's where it originated. And someone got murdered in the parking lot out in front of our office by a drug dealer. But that was to me what we could afford. Right. So there was never a clear plan or path, but all I knew after that first deal, which I talk to people often and a lot of them resonate with that. It's they do their first deal, but then you have this, oh shit moment of like, can I do it again? And can I do it to where I have a career? Much like a big artist, right? They have that one big hit record, which is great, but then they go, wait, how can I make this a career? Because one record doesn't get you there. And for me, that's where I started thinking about business rather than real estate. And that is the origin story of me really trying to build something beyond myself and my efforts.
Totally, man. That's very cool. Catch us up to where you are now. Let's just talk about what your business does, what you do. Cause like we had this philosophical conversation to start and people are probably like, who is Cole?
What does the guy do? He just talks about philosophy.
Tell me about what you do. We'll kind of retroactively work backwards and talk to you about your story and just maybe some tips for people to get to a level that you're at. So just tell us what you do.
Yeah. So I started wholesaling, built a really, really big wholesale company, big team. And that led me into eventually our main marketing channel was leads. And so I had a buddy of mine, not a buddy of mine, an expat I met at a conference. It's now a buddy that said, hey, I'm moving to the Philippines. I have call center experience. I'm going to start a call center. Do you want to partner on it? I said, absolutely. We started generating upwards of 30, 50 leads a day for our business and learning about that space. And then I had some buddies of mine that wanted to use it. All of a sudden that was paying our marketing budget for our real estate company plus some. And so I decided, this is 6 years ago, to turn that into a company, which has now become Easy Button Investor under that Easy Button Leads. So we do a variety of things for investors and agents between lead generation and we have a software arm. We have an education arm. We have staffing. So pretty much when an investor finds us, they never have to go anywhere else for whether it be software, lead generation, hiring, or support, just helping them understand where to go next on their journey. Before I made that mostly my full-time thing, I do deals now and they come to me because of my brand, but mostly I'm a full-time CEO of that. I did almost 500 real estate deals, all off market. I've never done an on-market deal. I built a portfolio, ended up selling it, didn't love being a landlord. So I've kind of bounced around to every place you can in the business and landed in what now is Easy Button Investor, which now our run rate's just under 5 million a year and growing pretty quickly. We have a team of about 200 people between stateside and overseas, and I don't like a big team, but again, probably 150 of those, 160 of those are overseas, and then the rest are stateside. So yeah, it's a ton of fun. I love it, and it's been a fun, I guess now being almost 8 years in, it's been a fun place to come to where I'm focused on one thing and really dialed in and building a fun team, fun machine.
Yeah, man, I love it. It's funny. I didn't know that you sold off your portfolio, but I want to. So for example, we have a base of a bunch of different investors that are always trying to find XYZ deal, whether it's short-term rental, long-term rental, maybe they want to dabble into midterm. And then we have a community of students that want to get their first or next rental. So for someone like us, if we came to you at Easy Button, like what exactly services, I know you kind of just went over them, but what would the roadmap look like to work with you?
Well, generally speaking, it depends who you are and where you are. Like if you got into our funnel by listening to our podcast or by following me on social media, and you're brand new, we'll put you in just we call it the off-market method. It's $27 a month where you can learn everything about sourcing your own deals. You can get the equipment and tools you need to do so. You get around a couple hundred people who are in there that are doing the same thing. If you're experienced and you have 3, 4, 5 years of experience, 2 years, and you're doing deals and you just want to put it on steroids, we put you in our Easy Button Leads program, which is where we send you leads every single day. Plus you get a dedicated coach to help you build your business around those leads. And then if you're very experienced or you're newer and just want everything, you want us to help you and take care of your software, your lead generation, your staffing, one-on-one business plan. You want infinite one-on-one success coaching with the team of coaches that I built that are actively scaling businesses. That's I call it a franchise with no rules. It's kind of like a franchise, but we don't make you take our name, image, likeness, any of that stuff. It's purely a platform that you can build on. So that's a lot of media we put out there, from newsletter to podcast to socials. You get into our funnel, we point you one of those 3 places based on who you are, what you're doing. And then the goal is to keep them working with us in some aspect for a couple of years. And it's been phenomenal. We talked about earlier, like not scaling just to scale. And I've been blessed with relationships with probably people that have the biggest platforms in our space. And I've really, over the past 2-3 years, try to perfect our product before scaling like crazy, because there's so many influencers and gurus in this space that are getting class actions filed against them that are in a bad spot. Because the reality is, influence, social media presence grows a lot quicker than business experience. And so you get these guys that can grow a 1 million follower brand in 3 years because they're good marketers. They'll paint their hair green. They'll do crazy shit online, but they don't have business experience, but they're happy to sell you products. And so the people in our space are very, as they should be, weary of that whole game of someone's going to sell me an e-commerce store. They're going to sell me an NFT. They're going to sell me this new wholesaling program, but they have no idea how to run a business. And so I've really focused on product and business. And most people that come to us work with us for months and months, if not years, because I feel like we've built our business with product first, not audience first. And I can't speak to that enough.
I love that, man. I think it relates a little bit to what we've done, in the sense where we started our podcast on our social media platform talking about our real estate journey 5 years ago, and we didn't sell anything for 5 years. And the reason, and it was kind of strategic, because we're like, look, follow along. We're authentic. We just want to be ourselves. Like, this is the story and the journey that we're going on until we get to a point where we feel like we can bring value. We don't have anything to push your way. Now we teach people how to buy their first and next rental property, but it wasn't until I felt like, hey, go look at the resume that I could say I could even feel comfortable doing this. And I think that goes to a lot of things. We get messages all the time now, Cole, and I find it extremely interesting. I do not knock the hustle, because I love it. The 18, 19, 20-year-olds, I see their kids in high school, and they're like, do you need appointment setters? Do you need closers? Do you need, they're like, oh, I can build an entire back-end system and do all your email marketing. I can do all your funnels. And I think, I respect the hustle, but there's a lot of people out there that are trying to push things that they haven't even really done yet. And I have always said, like, if you could get in the game and give your value away, or whatever value you think you have, for free for a long time. And I look at Ryan, I had done that with the pod. Like, we just gave it all, whatever information we have away for free. If you can do that, that's how you really build it up. This leads me to my question, and you can obviously comment on that too. If you were starting over, would you do the wholesaling route? Would you get in that way? Is that the thing that you feel like, oh, this really, really works, it's the best way for me to get in, I'd repeat the same process? Or would you change something?
No, I think real estate being what I started in, I would not change, because of the fact that the liquidity events are so large that you can make a lot of mistakes as a young entrepreneur. If I went right into trying to run a service business, one, I'd have no idea what I teach, what that actually looks like in practice, which I do agree with you. I'm not a big fan of people selling things they have not done. And there's variations of that, but I think the moral and ethical line in our space has gotten pushed so far that even what someone calls ethical to me isn't what I would call ethical. And I made mistakes in my journey in my career, and I think that's one thing that everyone does. And going on the Bigger Pockets podcast at 21, I had so much when it was kind of still the Bigger Pockets podcast. I don't really love what it's become, but I had so much influence come my way, and I didn't have all the business experience yet, where I definitely made some mistakes. But I think when I look back at my journey, I never had the intention of being an influencer or a guru selling products that way. I loved business and real estate. If you don't have a brand, doing real estate is an amazing way to make your money. And it's a hard business. It really shapes you as an entrepreneur, learning how to manage cash flow, learning how to run a business. And so, yeah, to answer your question in a very roundabout way, no, I wouldn't change that. And to be honest with you, when deals still come my way, I still love it. Like, I love doing deals. I love putting deals together. So no, not at all. I those couple hundred deals that we did, I loved every minute of it, and I would not change that at all. It was a very hard decision for me to prioritize easy button investor. But to me, I can't get to my goals if I'm the CEO of 2-3 things at a time. It's just impossible.
I love that. Picking a lane, sticking to it. It's we often, I think every entrepreneur has gone through this, or small business owner, where you spread yourself too thin and you're trying to do a million things at once, wear a million different hats, and just you feel like an octopus. You're like, dude, just like arm going left, right, dishing different things out. And so it's just, I get it. And we've had to cut off a lot of things too. And we're like very in one lane right now. And it's tough. So I did want to ask you this, because I noticed, I saw it on your social, but then obviously it plays to your story too. You know, it did seem like at a young age, you got around a lot of high level individuals in this space. And we are very big proponents on paying to play, getting around a mentor or a group of people to elevate you to the next level. You know, get around people that are 5, 10, 15 years your senior of experience in what you want to do. Can you talk to that, how you got in the right rooms and what your strategy was there?
Well, I think I started how everyone does when I got into real estate, and I sent like 100 messages in Seattle of like, "Hey, can you get a coffee with me? I'd love to pick your brain." Right? Like I get those all the time, and it's everyone goes through that part. I feel like where they like don't really understand the back and forth dynamics, and so of course got no responses. And then I did a couple deals, and then by coincidence, one of the largest flippers in our market, Taro Yarber, whom I'm really good friends with, his business partner, quasi operations manager, was at LA Fitness, where I went and played basketball every evening. As I was just started like I said, I got the office, and right by there was an LA Fitness, and I was on the treadmill one night, and he got on next to me, and I'd seen him at an event, so I knew who he was, and I'm like, I'm going to try something different. Instead of being like, "Hey, can I get a coffee?" I'm just going to offer him something. And that was before Gary Vee was online talking about like, "Oh, just offer to work for free, but yada, yada, yada." And I just said, I'm going to try something different. And while on the treadmill, which is kind of creepy. And when he tells the story, it sounds very creepy. I kind of like stopped my treadmill machine. I looked over at him like, "Are you Nate?" And he was like, he's like mid sweat, mid treadmill session. He's like, "Yeah, I'm Nate." And I'm like, "Well, man, like I think I've built a really cool CRM for our business. I'd love to build it for your business for free." And he was like, "Show me it." And I opened my computer and my phone, sorry. And I showed him there. And while we were there, he called Taro, and he's like, "Hey, I think we should meet with this kid. We have an issue around our CRM," which was to me luck at the time. And 2 days later, I got coffee with them, and we sat there and chatted. But the reality is people, you have to pay to play in some way. And so I didn't have 10 grand to give him as like, "Oh, teach me." What I did was the next deal I came across, which was a probate deal in Lacey, Washington, that I could have made probably 50, 60 grand on a wholesale fee. I said, what if I JB this deal with him? He flips it, but he starts teaching me some of the business, and we were in the call, and then I did that. So we were in car rides together once or twice a week. He was teaching me, and we became friends through that process, like real genuine friends. And then he invited me about a month later. I got a call, and he called me and said, "Cole, I shouldn't be inviting you to this, but Brandon Turner's doing a private event at his house in Maui with about 20 high-level investors. You probably don't qualify, but if you want to come, it's 15 grand. And you pay for your airfare, your hotel, you pay 15 grand, you come. That's 20 people, and love to have you." And I said, "Shit, I'm opening my Bank of America, and I'd only paid myself like 20 grand for my business." And I'm like, "Okay, I live at home still. Like there's no real risk here for me." And so I said, yes, I paid it. I went, and in that room was, before they had social media presences, was James Dainard, was AJ Osborne, was Brittany Arneson, was Ryan Pineda. And a lot of the people that have become kind of household names in our space were sitting in that conference room. And they kind of just, I was 20 years old, I think at the time. And they kind of just adopted me. Really is what it was. I just got to know them over a 5-day period in Maui. James was in my market. I would say James is like a brother. He's like family. And a lot of those people I just became really close with. And when I was there, the only thing I focused on was just asking questions. I didn't care to tell them how cool I thought I was. I just wanted to know everything about them. And to you guys listening, like that is how you build a real relationship. You bring value. I brought Taro that deal. And I brought a lot of those people in that room deals. And then you be more interested in them than you are trying to make yourself seem interesting. And people who are successful, they want to help people who they feel like are them 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And I know that was a longer story and a longer answer to your question, but that was how it all started. And then 99% of my phone calls with James, with anyone now, I'm not talking about business. I'm talking about, family. I know his kids well. We travel together. It's personal stuff. So yeah, just build authentic relationships. There's got to be some value at it first, and then just be interested in them. And people will want to help you if you're genuine, if you're not a dick, if you want to learn about them and they can tell you're not there just to make a quick buck. And I've built really, like I tell people often that the most valuable thing that I've built isn't my business, my bank account. It is my relationships with people, where I could start from zero today and be back very quickly with one phone call. So yeah.
Yeah. So I'm laughing because
I know that was a lot. Yeah. I don't know if you
that
guys like long
explanation,
answers like that, but I like to give people like a full context of my answer. Yeah.
that explanation was so great. It was so perfect. It spoke to everyone who's listening, who's trying to figure out, like, are they charismatic enough to win in this game? And I filmed a reel yesterday in my car. I didn't invent it, but you validated it. It's reverse charisma. Chris Williamson basically told me through his podcast, not personally, what it means. And basically reverse charisma is exactly what you just said. I'm not going to try to be the most interesting person in the room. I'm going to try to be the most interested person in the room.
Yeah.
In other words, when you talk to people, you make them feel like the main character. And then they're like, I want to be around that person so much. I don't know what it is. And then someone says, oh, what it is about them. And they're like, they didn't even tell me anything about themselves. I don't know. But I just felt like the main character. They asked me questions. They're and genuine interest, not BS interest, like truly. And to me, reverse charisma is kind of like you encapsulated there. And I think anyone can do that. Not everyone has to be able to talk in front of a microphone or in front of a group of people. But if you can ask the right questions and then go take the questions, figure out the answers, and then bring actual value based on what they told you back, you're going to be light years away. You didn't just bring value. Like, no one wants a value exchange of $15 lunch. They want the value exchange of, hey, build me the CRM. And I don't know how you knew that, Cole, because that's
well, I tried the other way first. I tried to just ask people to coffee, and so I knew that didn't work. And so it's kind of I didn't have any magical like insight. I just knew that what I tried didn't work, and so I tried to just add value. But I think the biggest thing is like, just don't be a weirdo. Like when you meet people that you want to get around, like they don't give a, like, even if you were massively successful, like there's an example of this. I was at BPCon in San Diego, and Brandon, a bunch of the guys came over to my house, and we were all hanging out by the pool, and this one guy came who now has an indictment against him, but he's like, look at my bank account. I got like $40 million in it. And which is like a lot of money. I mean, he's successful, but no one gives a shit. Like people, especially people who run businesses all day, most of the time when they're hanging out in the evening, they're not even talking about, but it's not like it is in the movies. Like they're not there strategizing on business. They're laughing and doing anything they can, but thinking about business. And so if you guys get into environments, if you're listening to the show, which once you're in that environment, you know how you stand out. It's by you be personally interested in people and not just ask them business questions all night too, because it's like when I go golfing, like I'm golfing with a buddy today after probably the 2 or 3 PM. We probably won't talk about business for longer than 30 seconds the whole golf round.
Yep. I love it, dude. So there's a lot to there. And I do appreciate the long-winded answer because it gives so much clarity to your story. And first of all, Corey, I never even heard of that reverse charisma. It's such a great way to say that. Like if someone asks me what our superpower is, it's hard to, I'm not a magician with numbers. I'm not the most creative person in the world, but I think we have the ability to amplify others and put them first. And I think that, through the podcast, right. And make people feel good. Right. And it's cool to be able to label that as something now, but Cole, to you, first off, I just want to talk to people that are young, budding investors or aspiring investors or entrepreneurs, small business owners, whatever it is. If you feel like you're cut from a different cloth, you don't want to, kind of mend the mold and follow the same path that everybody else is, the 90% of people, right? You did one thing really, but you did it twice, was you took action and you took a risk, dude. I think so many people get confined to a little box and they're very conservative and they don't take risks in their life. There's no way if you didn't pause that treadmill, stop walking and running, whatever you're doing, and just shoot your shot. You would have had none of these relationships. Taking it a step further, when you got offered to go to a private event, but you had to spend $15,000, you said, I barely have this, but I'm good. Let's do it. You took the shot, dude. And that was probably one of the most valuable things you'll ever do. You'll look back 30 years from now. You're probably looking back now, but like that moment where you got adopted by maybe 5 to 10 of the most influential people in our space, in our niche, it's unbelievable, dude. It's like you found Bitcoin at $1 And think about it, because all these people, this is pre-social influence in a way, or early on, and they all blew up. I know every one of those guys has blown up, and I look at their presence. Pineda's got an insane business that he runs with all these different levers. He probably helped you get to that point, or taught you something there, at least a little sliver. Brandon Turner, 7,000 plus units. Like all these guys, dude. James, you're a business partner now. We already talked about him. So I'm just so pumped, dude, because you're a real life living, breathing story that this is possible. You just have to take risks. And when opportunity presents itself to you and gives you the door, you have to walk through it, because there's so many times people won't do it and they won't spend the money to go do something because they want to, they have to spend it on something else. To live like others don't, you have to do the other things that they don't. So I'm just proud of you, man, for, taking the shot. You made it and you built an incredible life for yourself. But what I really like about you is you're just real, man. And we talked about a lot of different things. There's a lot of fluff in the space. You're far from that. And appreciate just, giving the real of real. And I happy to share a room with you, man. I don't have any question for you that. I'm sure Corey has one for you. I just wanted to say, like, dude, I just really appreciate being in this moment with you. And I think you're a G, dude. I really do.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah. Kind words. Yeah. I mean, I think you guys listening, one of the things that popped in my mind as Ryan was giving me a very kind compliment, I appreciate it, Ryan, was the reality of, like, I think for me, like I really just detached myself from what's in my bank account. And I think so many of us build this identity around how many dollars are in our bank account. But one thing I learned early on is people scale faster than anything, and never be hesitant to invest in someone you want to be around. Because like to me, that 20 grand I had was life-changing to me. Like I thought I was rich. I was hood rich at 19 years old. And then I gave all of it back essentially. But that unlocks the next level. And I think for me, like I've had quite a few one-on-one clients I've worked with over the years. And one of the main things beyond business we always talk about is separating your personal identity from your business, because business is up and down and all around, no matter how successful you are. Look at Elon. Stock tanked like 50% this year. And so, like, if you do not have a personal identity that expands beyond what's happening in your business, it's impossible to make it a decade or longer. And I can tell you guys have built that and work on that a lot. But to me, the people that suffer the most are the rich, are actually the people that make the most money, but don't have an identity beyond their business. And every day is suffering, because every dollar they lose, every lawsuit they get into, every issue that happens is like this massive personal identity blow. And it ends in really rough places.
Without a doubt, man. The thing that I focused on the most now, Cole, I have been in the last couple months, is showing up for people. And it's not just my family and friends, but like people that I'm with in business, and Rye's like a brother to me. So that goes without saying, but I'm talking about our clients, showing up for them, showing up for people like you. If so, like I give this example, I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm just giving you the whole example of, we had Henry Washington on our podcast. We hadn't talked to him in 3 years.
Yep.
And we chopped it up like we'd been talking every single day. And he goes, yo, could one of you guys come on my coaching community later this week in 2 days? And I was like, yes, dude. I didn't even think, like, I was like, yes, like I'll do it. And I wanted to show up for him. He asked me a favor. I created connections. People found value in it. And I'm just giving you an example of, if you have to go that extra layer. Ryan and I'm not going to say the exact dollar amount, because it probably has changed. So I'm not trying to blow up a spot, but Ryan and I paid Rich Summers. Many people know Rich Summers, to be in his content community, tens of thousands of dollars. And I found value in being close to Rich. And I thought, you know what? Like, he can teach us a lot about content. He can teach us about podcasting. He has a bigger podcast than us. He has a bigger social following than us. He seems like a real dude. We've gotten along great with him. If I text him, he answers. It's now this symbiotic relationship that some of them aren't made naturally. Some of them are made by paying, and you made yours by paying. They respect you for investing in yourself. Ryan and I, it was the two of us, so we could handle the money. But now I have this relationship where I've interviewed all these people from his network. We got Mikey Taylor on our podcast, like somebody that I have no business speaking with. And I just think that you have to know when to jump and when to pay to play, and you're going to make mistakes too. And that's the thing, is that allow yourself to say, yeah, I'm going to screw this up a couple times. Ryan and I spent $50,000 on something we didn't even use. It's like, okay, like I'm not going to go where to what, but I'm like, that is the thing that's like, if you're not afraid of the end result being negative, then how can you really lose in the end? It's just, you keep stepping up to the plate and you keep making it happen. And sorry, I'm on a little bit of a rant, but I just want
I like the point you're making.
Yeah. I just think that if you're listening to this podcast and you want to be in rooms with people or you want to be like them, there's oftentimes a way to do it. And you can either offer your services for free, or nowadays you can pay to be around those people. And it's been rare that I've had an experience where it wasn't worth it. Even losing that $50,000 was so worth it. It taught me, okay, what do I want to be involved in now? And what I could afford to lose it. And I figured out the next path and the next pivot. And life is about that over and over and over again.
100%.
So the couple last questions I have for you is, where are you going with your business? Like, what do you want to do in the next, let's say we're having this conversation for people that are listening, we're talking in March, it's probably going to come out in April, but like March, April, 2026, do you have a 1-year goal? Do you have a 3-year goal? Where do you want to take this thing? And what's next?
Yeah, well, I don't really have like a personal financial goal. I mean, what Easy Button Investor is becoming is a single sign-on solution for real estate investors and agents, where they log on, whether it's lead generation, CRM software, the education that they need, everything's in one place. That's always been an issue that I've seen since I got into the space, is you have to go so many different places to learn each piece of the business. So that's the big solution we're driving towards, working towards as a team collectively. And whether we hit it in 1 year or 3 years, I don't really care. I'm making plenty of money and have a ton of fun doing it. So yeah, that's really the vision of making content, connecting with people. To your point, like you guys listening, the reality is that like relationships that you're looking for in business as adults, most of them are made with money involved. That's just kind of the way it works. Getting in a room, going to an event. It's kind of just the way the world works. You know, I meet people 2 ways. One, through Instagram or social content. 2, they pay to come to an event I'm speaking at or that I'm hosting. Or 3, my wife introduces me to one of her new friends' husbands. Those are the 3 ways that I mean people, right? So that's kind of just the reality of being old and in business and weird. So yeah, no, that's what's next for me, man. I do everything I can to stay focused on my one thing every single day, and play a lot of golf, travel a lot, hang out with family. But to me, the biggest change in the past year has been I shut down 2 businesses that were doing multiple millions of dollars per year just to focus on one thing. And that was the most difficult thing I'd done this year. So now it's actually feels pretty easy because I'm taking 100% of my time on one thing. And it's very frictionless in relation to being in chaos for so long. So I'm enjoying it. I don't have a personal net worth goal I need to hit in the next 2 or 3 years. I don't have a personal income goal. I make enough money to pay bills, invest, take care of my family. And for me, that's kind of what it is. And I'm 26, so that could change next year. Right. But for me, that's kind of where I've gotten to, as I say, as my prefrontal cortex has kind of come online here in the last year.
I can't believe you're 26. It's not, I don't know why. I feel like Rye probably feels the same way.
The thing is, like, when you're self-employed from 18 to 26, 27, it's almost a decade of your most formative years. Like, I've just gotten my ass kicked, where most of my friends are late 30s, early 40s. Like, I have very few friends that are 20s. That's by the guys that I hang out with, that I golf with, that I spend time around. Everyone's 30s, 40s, 50s. Because like that's the crowd you have to run with if you're in business and you want to, and at a young age, right? So, and that's not with any ego. Like I hang out with people my age too, but it's just I get that comment often of, you seem like you're 45, and the reality is I've been in enough lawsuits, I've had enough employees quit, sue me. I've been around business long enough where you either have to mature and become someone that people want to work for, or you don't and you shrivel up and you quit. And I've always chosen the first option.
Dude, you're just, man, what I will say is, like, I'm trying to encapsulate. I wanted to say you're an old soul, but you're not. You've just you're seasoned, dude. That's what you are. Like, the reason is you're 26, but in business years, you're 45, bro, or 50. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you've surrounded yourself with these people and you've evolved in business. You've seen stuff that people your age just haven't seen. And I say this because Corey and I are 3 years in, or whatever. It's 5 for the podcast, but like business wise, building things out. And we're like, man, we're getting slapped around here. But if you show up every day, you have those amazing days. And I just want to overall, dude, I know we're kind of got to our time here. I just want to say thank you for joining us today. This is one of the most refreshing conversations I've had in a long time. And I think it felt more so like we were just having a drink, having some dinner, golfing, whatever. And we got to just chop it up and learn about you. And you're the type of person I want to hang around with because you've built something incredible, but you're real, you're down to earth, and you show people what's possible. So I just want to say, I appreciate you and thank you for joining us. If people love the show just as much as I did, and they want to get in touch with you, maybe network, maybe, integrate into your business if they are an agent or so, how can they get in touch?
Yeah. So if you guys need leads for your business, easybuttonleads.com. We've spent 7 years perfecting our product, and we have a lot of clients been with us for 3 or 4 years. We're really good at what we do. If you guys want to reach out personally, I'm at Cole Ruud-Johnson on every platform, from Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, all over the place. I respond to all DMs myself. So I'm very responsive, and here to help, happy to help. So yeah, that's the kind of rundown.
Beautiful, man. Great to get to know you, Cole. Whether you like it or not, you're kind of stuck with us in your network now. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate the candidness and the clarity you've provided for some of the people that are listening. And this episode didn't go into like a lot of super deal specific details, but I think if you don't have a roadmap for yourself right now, then you need to re-listen to the episode. Cole dropped, a ton of knowledge on us and did it with class. So we appreciate it, brother. Thanks for coming on, and looking forward to staying in touch.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.